This farmhouse is near the small town of Keephills in central Alberta. It is very likely that within 5 years, the town, the farms, and the people will have been replaced by a coal mine. All societies use energy as a tool to get things done. Whether it's to cook food, build a car, or plow a field. This energy comes to us from a variety of sources: oil and gas, uranium, firewood, the sun and wind. In Alberta, the primary source of electrical energy is coal. This is Calgary Power's South Sundance plant. The coal burned here to generate electricity comes from the ground in the Lake Wabamun area in central Alberta. Calgary Power wants to build another plant in the same area. And the coal to fuel it will come from underneath the hamlet of Keephills and the farms and pasture that surround it. Calgary Power is a private corporation which supplies most of southern Alberta's electricity. The coal underneath the farms of Keephills is ideal for their needs. But the easiest way to get at the coal is to strip away the layers of productive soil that lie on top. The mine will cover 10,000 acres of land. Under the village itself lies about 2 million tons of coal. Our consumption of electricity increases every year. And in Alberta, most generating plants to be constructed in the future will be fueled by coal. That's a lot of strip mining, and some people are not sure we know what we're getting into.
I don't think that people generally recognize the seriousness of the situation that we are likely to face in the 1980s. To build a power station, for instance, for electric energy generation takes at least 6 or 7 years. We have to think of what is going to happen in 1985 and see 1985 as tomorrow, and 1990 as the day after tomorrow. Most of us, I think, look at the 80s as a long time from now, and we generally adopt an attitude of, well, something will turn up. And something does not turn up unless it is very consciously worked at now. And of course, for everything, there is a price to be paid. And we just have to be prepared to firstly fully appreciate what we actually want, to define what we want, and then to accept the consequences of what we define as our needs. And generally, I don't really believe we've done that, not as a society.
43 families live in and around Keephills, and the area has been home to 4 generations of farmers. Among the original settlers was a Bryant. Les Bryant is now the school principal.
It's difficult to say at the moment, but the anticipation is that this community could be moved to another location, although I personally would like to see it stay where it is. As I say, I have quite a bit of attachment to this particular piece of ground that we're on at the moment, and I would not like to see it moved.
Well, like I say, there's dances here, wish drives or card parties, weddings, funerals, just about everything there is in the line of entertainment. Well, last year we had, I think it was 56 dues in this hall. That's more than one a week. You know, most of the people right here, well, they've been raised here, been here for years, and it's a home to them. So who wants to leave home? Well, it'll affect the older people more so than it will the younger people. Because, you know, the young keep it going and the older folks stay here. So. And all their friends are here, so. Well, they say 8, 10 years, maybe longer. I'm not moving until they really come and move me. Simple as that.
Well, let's face it, the citizens in a community where a mining operation is going to take place are faced with a traumatic change in their whole lifestyle and their community, and the forces causing this change are outside the community and beyond their control.
The impact of the proposed mine is a concern of Alberta's Department of the Environment, but their powers of control are limited.
And the only commitment that I can make to them that their voice will be heard if they will speak up. We are learning from the mistakes that we have made in the past. The states are more advanced down the road in many of these areas that we are, and we have tried to learn from some of the mistakes they have made as well as the mistakes that we have made ourselves. So it's a learning process, not only for the people, the publics, the companies involved, but ourselves. Now, I don't know, Henry, maybe you'd like to comment.
Our objective really is to make sure that whatever decisions have to be made in this very complex area, that they are informed decisions. I think we all recognize these are people who have made their livelihood on that land. They're intelligent people. They may not express themselves in the same technical terms that a board hearing of this nature may use. They're faced with a battery of engineers and lawyers and other interveners, and it's very, very difficult for them to say what is of concern to them.
Bring the meeting to order.
In order to make their voices heard and to prepare for public hearings, residents formed the Committee on Keephills Environment, COKE. The chairman of COKE is Ken Porter.
I think the purpose of the committee was trying to visualize how the community was going to be affected by a project of this dimension.
Yeah. Who's going to funnel water into it, eh?
Well, no, he said it would open it and the water would flow, but I don't believe that. It should more or less be reclaimed to agriculture.
Well,
because
we had no funds to make use of, so that hindered us greatly as far as our use that we could make of professional assistance. We did not use a lawyer because we had nothing to pay the lawyer with. So we proceeded on our own, the best way we could.
But they've never come up with, at least I haven't at this point in time seen a deal signed, sealed, and delivered that come anywhere as near to what I personally think would probably be compensation for the relocation.
I think when we're dealing with them on an individual basis, whatever input we have on this won't have too much of a bearing on.
The residents of Keephills were informed of Calgary Power's intentions in October of 1976. They had a few months and a little money to prepare for public hearings. Facing them across the table was Calgary Power, a large corporation with enormous financial resources.
On the one hand and the farmers on the other, and you know who's organized.
Yeah, that's right.
So Coke has done what it could, obtaining the best compensation deal for its members.
Like Ken was saying, the first time I saw him, he says, you know, we're not...
But the farmers can only react to the problems this particular mine presents.
Good at bickering is what some of...
Unfortunately, what they are discussing is only a small part of a much larger issue. That Alberta needs energy, there is no doubt. But alternatives to coal do exist, and measures to conserve energy could delay the need for the Keephills project. But up to now, these kinds of choices have been made not by an informed public, but by government departments, utilities, and their experts.
There are several environmental studies underway. In fact, there are about 15 that will be undertaken this year at a cost of about more than $1 million. And these are simply studies that will elaborate, or extensions of studies that were undertaken earlier in the environmental impact statement that was given to the government. The 15 different areas range from soils, reclamation testing, wildlife, counting the bugs at the bottom of sloughs, social impacts, economic impacts, and of course community planning.
Oh, Ken. Hello, Dick.
Oh, just fine.
Good. You almost finished the seating?
Oh, yeah, we're getting along with it. Weather stays dry, why, it'll be all right.
I see. That was a good meeting we had last week, Ken.
I like the idea of the open house.
Well, I think we've got that pretty well set for June the 15th, and we should have that newsletter out just in advance. Ken, how do you feel that the hamlet itself is adjusting to this?
Well, you know, Dick, the real impact of this whole project really hasn't hit the people of the hamlet to the greatest extent as yet. It won't be really until they can see that they're actually having to move, or parts of the hamlet are being moved and relocated.
I see. So if we get a chap, say, like our sociologist, if he came out and spent some time with them, do you think that would help?
Oh, yes, it would help prepare them all right.
So the town will be relocated and the farmers compensated. And it's possible that the land may someday be restored to fertility. But the loss of community and sense of belonging is not measurable and is hard to replace. Norman Landsman's farm will be flooded by the plant's cooling pond, and he isn't going to move gracefully.
We're not giving up except what they need. They don't need the high ground. They can use whatever they need for water, and that's it. We've kept the trees here, the spruce trees, for 40 years, and they figured to cut them like brush. They figure they're no value at all. They call the lake a slough. 30 feet deep, 60 acres, and I think it's the best looking place, as good a place as there is in the country to live. I've lived on this place since 1941 and on the quarters house since 1936. Raised more or less 10 kids here, and they're worth $1 million apiece. So I made it. That's the way to figure it, isn't it?
Since this film was shot, the decision has been finalized. The mine and power station will go ahead. The hamlet of Keephills will disappear, and the land will be lost to the strip mine for many years.
Besides hamlet relocation, the community had other concerns related to the project. Koch made a presentation to the Select Committee on Surface Rights.
One of the groups presenting a brief here was the Committee on Keephills Environment, Koch for short. This is their chairman, Aaron White.
I'm concerned is that the people are being displaced completely from their land, and under present legislation, that's what takes place first, is the displacement of the people. The compensation issue is something that's dealt with long afterwards, sometimes up to 18 months, 2 years afterwards.
What would any project be without the traditional sod turning ceremony? Again, CFRN recorded the 1981 event of how it takes 3 men to turn 1 spade of dirt.
The company says the cost of the move is about $3 million. Although the new town is already underway, a company spokesman says the Energy Resources Conservation Board has suggested the area around the old Keephills not be mined. However, TransAlta's Senior Vice President Bill Fraser says it will be mined.
To move into that community.
The long-awaited day finally arrived when the heart of the community, the school and adjoining community center, was officially opened. National TV news networks covered the event, and Gordon Raymond became an instant television celebrity.
And now a story about a town that stood in the way of progress and survived. Keephills, Alberta was situated on a major coal seam. When a utility company decided it wanted the coal, that looked like the end for Keephills. Instead, the town simply picked up and moved. Mark Sickstrom has the details.
Keephills is little more than 4 houses and a school. But the tiny hamlet, 60 kilometers west of Edmonton, has always been the heart of a thriving farm community. A community that now lives in the shadow of a major power development. This generating plant will soon supply 20% of Alberta's electrical needs. It runs on coal, and the hamlet of Keephills sits right on top of a giant seam. Rather than simply offering the residents a cash settlement, TransAlta Utilities and the community agreed to relocate the hamlet.
I don't think in today's world that you can go into a community, simply buy out the people and wish them luck. It's a new era that we're in, and clearly I think this will be a model for many resource developments.
So a new Keephills was built, 6 kilometers north of the old one. A school and community hall went up, and 4 new houses were built, all at company expense. One of the transplants is 81-year-old George Raymond, who's lived in the area since 1945.
Well, of course, the memories are left behind some of the old ones, because after 36 years, you know, there's a little memories, all right. But when they said we had to go, and they chose this place, then I come down and I started to work here and started to prepare things myself. And by the time the house was built and by the time everything was done, I was willing to move. I never even missed the other place at all.
Mark Sickstrom, CTV News.
Over 300 people attended the opening ceremony, and Ron McDougall summarized the emotions and feelings felt that day.
Thank you on behalf of the people of Keephills for the quality that we see here today. Not only has this relocation been very successful, but also the complete hamlet relocation is, we feel, very successful. That success didn't come easy. The Committee on Keephills Environment has been involved with this project since planning began back in 1977. Long hours, many meetings were spent to draw up the terms of reference for the relocation. And at times over the last 5 years, I'm sure there's many of us here today that at some time wondered, why am I doing this? And after spending many hours on the telephone or scheduling just one more extra meeting that when there wasn't any time to go to it, and today we can definitely see why we all work together, and Keephills is proud of the results. Thanks go out to the Coke members who gave of their time, people who shared their knowledge and experiences for the better of all of us. We thank Aaron White, Johnny Washko, Annie Quigg, just to mention a few. This success is a direct result from cooperative effort. We are grateful to Gary Prokop, our project representative from TransAlta, to Dave Schaefer, the architect, to Bob Johnson and John Storms of Saskmont Engineering for making it all happen. And in a project of this magnitude and expense, we expected that any problems would have come from the company. However, we found that the company was very cooperative. Unexpectedly, though, we found that the source of delays came from our own local government in many cases. There were 2 people, however, that we'd like to thank for their cooperation in opening avenues of communication, and they are Marv Tatchuk and Ken Fuhr. They were very helpful to us. With their support, they began what we are sure will be a successful and complementary relationship for our community. And in closing, I would like to say that we hope this is not just the end of a relocation, but the beginning of a new way in that people are dealt with when they have to be displaced, whether by private enterprise or by government. And for Keephills, it means looking forward to a new future, growing, changing, and still retaining our identity. Thank you.